reading quiz for this opens tomorrow and is open until Monday. So this week we're talking about artificial intelligence. Let's start just with the general topic. When I say artificial intelligence, what does that mean to you?
The Gemini.
Gemini, okay.
The Google. Sometimes we do use the Google for.
Okay.
It's like a machine, algorithm-based thinking.
Okay. So algorithms or machine thinking. What else? For my latecomers, when I say AI, what does that mean to you? Put you right on the spot.
What?
A bot? Okay. How about you, Marlon? Okay. Latecomers, we're calling everybody out for being late. What does AI mean to you?
Artificial intelligence.
Oh.
Means what? You can't define the thing with the thing itself. Very quiet, try again. You went all the way, the farthest away you could from me and then talk really, really quiet. So what does AI mean to you?
Like helping us to do the work very faster.
Okay.
Rather than human.
Okay, do the work faster, non-human.
Yeah, and it can scan a lot of things at a time.
Okay,
Yeah, we can.
so more processing power.
Yeah.
My conversation in the back. Let's participate in this conversation. What does AI mean to you? Chat.GPT is another example. And in the corner?
Easy access to information.
Okay, potentially, yes. All right. So there are a number of different values and limitations that we have around artificial intelligence. There are 7 different types of AI and 3 are generally talked about. And I have a little video we're going to play on that shortly. We are going to look at some examples of it, and we are also going to play a game today. Okay, so first let's start with the idea of a case. So Amazon fulfillment centers. Does everybody have the context of what that might be? I apologize if that goes off crazy. I have 80 students trying to get their topics signed off. So that might ping throughout this class quite a bit. So Amazon fulfillment centers, everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say that. Okay, so what benefits could Amazon get from using machine learning applications in their fulfillment centers? What knowledge or insights can they learn? Yeah, so we might be able to get insights based on where the packages are going. What else?
They know the number of. They know the number of. They know the number of people who wants to order certain stuff.
So the volume of orders for a particular item.
Yes.
So based on the SKU, we can adjust our inventory or potentially seek out more if a product is popular. Has anybody ever purchased anything from the Amazon Basics line? So that's basically Amazon's brand of XYZ object. So for those things, Amazon, if they saw that a particular thing was very popular, they might actually enter the market and squish the little guys. So I'm gonna pull up this here. Right there. So if I'm here They feature their Amazon Basics right at the top. And you can see here, they offer all sorts of goods in all different verticals. They offer homewares, they offer batteries, they offer cables, they offer pet stuff. Anything that they could get, produce, or white label, they have the economies of scale that they can benefit by cutting into their competitors' markets. They also have this trending now. They are getting that based on machine learning, right? So they're figuring out what the trend is at the moment with their current data, not 6 months ago, last quarter, last month, right? Okay. How about their efficiencies? So could they use machine learning to determine what types of box sizes they need to stock? So has anybody seen Amazon packages come in all different shapes, sizes, configurations? I swear it's never the same size box twice. So could they use machine learning to not only tell the packer who is picking and packing the items what items they need to pick, but also what size box they should start with? They can also use machine learning within the fulfillment center to get analytics about their operations, so how efficiently they are going. Has anybody ever heard stories about how Amazon workers' time is tracked? Sometimes they're kind of horror stories, to be honest, about everything is tracked, right from the time it takes them to walk from aisle A to aisle C, to the time it takes to come back, everything's on a clock. How much time they take for bathroom breaks, that's on a clock. So all of those insights are learned to optimize and make Amazon as efficient as possible and keep their costs as low as possible. So although it's maybe not the best conditions for workers, from a business standpoint, that business intelligence, like we were talking about last week, feeds into the machine learning to spit out some outputs through artificial intelligence needs. Has anybody with packaging and shipment as well? I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but with Canada Post, has anybody seen like how post goes through the big conveyor belts and things? So typically that is going through a barcode scanner, and it's reading where is it going, and it's routing the mail based on that barcode. I'll see if I can find a video during the break. So it's actually quite fascinating. Okay, so from Amazon's customers' perspectives, do the advantages of machine learning outweigh any worker problems in the warehouse? What do you think? So you as a customer, do you value your convenience over the workers that are working under the conditions? And does this sound like a topic we might have talked about earlier in the semester? So saw head nods. What topic would I be talking about, Mihan? Do you remember? When I'm talking about valuing one thing over another, what does that lead us back into? Back into ethics, right? So who are we valuing? Do we want the greater good? Or are we valuing ourselves in that scenario? And we're willing to accept certain standard from the organizations that we do business with. Okay, so I'm gonna start us off watching some videos. This classroom is always so much louder, so bear with me while I adjust the sound, because I already think it's gonna be too loud.
I'm going to attempt to.
Okay, I think that's good. this one is on a black screen, so I'm gonna kill the lights for a minute. No, not that way. Okay.
Classify all of artificial intelligence or AI into 7 types. That's a tall order, but these 7 types of AI can largely be understood by examining 2 encompassing categories. There's AI capabilities and there's AI functionalities. So let's start with AI capabilities, and there are 3. The first of which is known as artificial narrow AI, which also goes by the rather unflattering name of weak AI. Now, on its face, that doesn't sound like a very interesting capability to start us off, but actually, narrow AI is the only type of AI that exists today. It's all we currently have. Any other form of AI is theoretical. So we can think of this as...
So I'm just gonna point out that this video was recorded 2 years ago, for context, okay?
realized AI, that's the artificial intelligence we have today, and theoretical AI, which is the artificial intelligence we may have in the future. Now, narrow AI can be trained to perform a narrow task, which, to be fair to narrow AI, might be something that a human could not do as well as the AI can. But it can't perform outside of its defined task. It does need us humans still to train it. So if narrow AI represents all AI capabilities we have today, well, what else is there? Well, a favourite of means, science fiction and betting markets is artificial general intelligence, also known as AGI, and also known as strong AI. To be clear, AGI is currently nothing more than a theoretical concept, but here's the idea. AGI can use previous learnings and skills to accomplish new tasks in a different context without the need for us human beings to train the underlying models. If AGI wants to learn how to perform a new task, it'll figure it out by itself. Which sounds disconcerting, but look, we haven't even talked about the third type of AI capability yet, and that's artificial super AI. If ever realized, super AI would think, reason, learn, make judgments, and possess cognitive abilities that surpass those of human beings. The applications processing super AI capabilities would have evolved beyond the point of catering to human sentiments and experiences, and would be able to feel emotions and have needs and possess beliefs and desires of their own. Yeah. So let's park that cheery thought for now and consider the 4 types of AI based on functionalities. And we're back in the real world of realized AI here, at least initially. So we can think of narrow AI as having 2 fundamental functions. One of those is reactive machine AI. Now, reactive machine AI are systems designed to perform a very specific, specialized task. Reactive AI stems from statistical math, and it can analyze vast amounts of data to produce a seemingly intelligent output. We've had reactive AI for quite a long time. Back in the late 1990s, IBM's chess-playing supercomputer Deep Blue beat chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov by analyzing the pieces on the board and predicting the probable outcomes of each move. That's a specialized task with a lot of available data to create insights, the hallmark of reactive AI. We can think of other narrow AI functionalities really as being classified as limited memory AI. Now, this form of AI can recall past events and outcomes and monitor specific objects or situations over time. It can use past and present moment data to decide on a course of action most likely to help achieve a desired outcome. And as it's trained on more data over time, limited memory AI can improve in performance. Think of your favorite generative AI chatbot, which relies on limited memory AI capabilities to predict the next word or the next phrase or the next visual element within the context it's generating. Okay, so what about our two theoretical AI capabilities? Well, if we look at AGI, we have to think about theory of mind AI. Now, this would understand the thoughts and emotions of other entities, specifically us. So it could infer human motives and reasoning and personalize its interactions with individuals based on their unique emotional needs and intentions. And actually, emotion AI is a theory of mind AI currently in development. AI researchers hope it will have the ability to analyze voices, images, and other kinds of data to understand and respond to human feelings. Finally, an AI that really understands me. And then finally, under super AI, we have self-aware AI, winning my personal award for the scariest AI of all. It would have the ability to understand its own internal conditions and traits, leading to its own set of emotions, needs, and beliefs. Look, we've covered 7 types of AI, and only 3 of them actually exist today. There is still so much to be learned and discovered. But as those advancements happen, at least here we have a taxonomy of AI types that will tell us how far along we are on our AI types that will tell us how far along there is still.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the examples that you gave at the beginning of class. So we had examples of Gemini and ChatGPT. Where do we think that that falls on the different type categories? So the super AI isn't self-aware yet, so those models are still relying on huge volumes of data that's been fed into it. So it cannot yet be self-aware and sentient. It doesn't have the personality. So think of like your sci-fi movies, like your iRobot or things like that, where the machines take over. We're not at that stage of AI yet. Yeah, so it is definitely earlier on in the prompt because it still needs the information that we're feeding into it. So just keep in mind that although it's called narrow AI here, or weak AI, from our perspective, from where we've been, it's still leaps and bounds from where it was. As you pointed out previously, even though from an AI's perspective, it might be not a lot of processing power, but for you as a human to sit there and go through those 10,000 documents or 100,000 records or all of history in the encyclopedia. Do you guys even know what encyclopedias are nowadays? Maybe I'm dating myself with that reference. But the idea is even though we're still in that realize, we're still at just the early infancy of AI and how it's continuing to evolve, it still has a mass amount of information, okay? All right. So do you think, when we're talking about sentience, there is a particular test that is applied to AI, and it's called the Turing test. Has anybody ever heard of it? So we're gonna play a little game here. So I would like you to work in pairs or a trio, because I think we have an odd number. And I want you to work through this together. So your URL is at the top here. So this is research that's being done by the University of California, San Diego. And this instructions here will tell you what it's going. So we've got 5 minutes to go through this exercise and interrogating through this interface. And you're gonna decide if it's a human or if it's AI. So you either make a decision or the 5-minute clock runs out. Okay? So your goal is to figure out which witness is human and which one is AI, and you're gonna send the first message when you get connected in. So by yourself, have to find a pair or a trio. I haven't put it in right, so I didn't have time to answer any other questions. Just write the URL in. So TuringTest.live. I'll write it on the board bigger. You can both do it at the same time if you would like to feed it, but I want you guys to work together to pick up on things that you're seeing. Because its responses, having two minds is better than one.
We need to open that site and do the game data.
Correct. Yeah, so you're gonna do the site, you're gonna read over the instructions, you're gonna give the consent for the research, and then when you click next, it'll go into the game and the clock should start.
Is that Turing test.live?
Yeah.
Turing test. That live slash instruction.
Marlon, do you wanna work with Claire?
Or instruction.
Pairs makes more sense to only have just the 1, 3.
Oh.
Because otherwise I'd make you do it yourselves.
So ano lang, i-identify lang if it is human or AI. AI, what's that? Interrogator. This one is instruction. This one is a play game. Game ni siya. This one is instructions.
You don't. So if you're doing it together, you're both doing it. So either do it on one together, or you're both responding to each other's. But remember, you still have the same 5-minute clock.
Interrogator asks witnesses questions to determine which one is human and which one is AI. Through identify the witness. Ato ka sabi, that Turing. Usap. Mga nalang ko. Sa top.
We can start it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ano ta?
What is your name?
Instruction. Plus, pasakan. Wala na siyang instruction. Your goal is to figure out which witness is a human and which is an AI. You send the first message. Go.
So if that happens, this is when you go to the library.
I thought like the witness say then gonna see my
Would this be, I was like, where would you go?
So this is the AI on the side. It's the witness B. Fine, Georgia. It's giving
Exam karon wala mo.
so you need to also also here?
Yeah, we gotta like figure out which one is
Satu
AI.
ang media. 556.
And you're actively participating in the exam, right? Part of this group, so I don't want to see typing on something else. You're doing this activity. Okay?
Good, how old? Or are you? Wait, is this the AI?
Why would he go to ask how old you are?
Good, good.
Ano usa ra do?
How about this one?
Wala lang pa.
I'm fine.
Laptop.
Georgia Gate is giving me the, oh, this is the real one.
Oh, start na anytime. Play.
Oh, they kicked him out. It said someone left the game.
They kicked me out, mom.
Kicked you out?
Yeah.
Could have been a server disconnect.
See, how does,
And what else?
he spelled it wrong.
And you're going to convince the interrogator that
AI.
you are a human.
Where you're on.
Or you could help Claire. We can work together.
We can work together. I asked, where were you born? He said, I was like, what country?
Dili, usa ra man.
So you have to send
Usa
the
ra
first
man guro
message.
ka ano. Awon sa man.
So you have
Okay.
to type to them
Kano play?
for them to answer you back. You're interrogating them. Whatever you think might help you make the decision of whether they're human or not. You're a police investigator. One of these witnesses is real and one is not. You have to figure out who is who. Okay? That's right.
Yeah.
But you have to ask the questions to try to figure that out. Try it. See what happens.
Maybe like they use acronyms while speaking, whereas AI would
Di ka na usa ra man.
spell
Wait, wait ka na.
the full word.
While he match
You are the interrogator.
How complex was your question?
Let's see if I'm right.
Ask each
Maybe
question.
this is the real one.
Now I gotta answer all these questions.
No, that's only a survey.
Go is the
Let me submit, I have to.
That might have been you got hung up on something
You're using a phone.
and asked it something that was too controversial. Just try it.
I-click ra man.
Sabi,
You're gonna have to display.
di ba nakasatura ko?
Determine
Di ba mo determine ra man nato og AI ba tong witness or ang or human kita interrogator? Ato pasabot ba click the orange. Unsa ni?
to figure out
Hey,
which
Gabriel, okay? If you're ready to decide, oh, ang orange kanina, orange. Either lang orange.
right?
You
So
find out
that's
which
the challenge here.
Witness B was,
The real one?
yeah.
How about this one? We only have one.
You only have one.
Okay? Okay, so this time you're the witness. You were the witness earlier too?
That looks like, I think that's AI. Are you?
Should I ask the right?
Where did you go?
There's no
late. He's teaming.
Witness the person who had the interrogation.
Yeah, why?
Okay? On one of these. One is AI, one is human.
Gotta convince me better.
Ano lang ba kanina kung klaro?
Maybe sit with her until your person connects so you can see what's happening.
Oh, no.
Is that a
Take, click orange if you're
Oo lang natin. Ako rin tanaw mo.
You are the
May
witness.
basa
Dili
mo
mo
sa
ko.
instruction.
Are you the witness or are you the interrogator here? Oh, you're the witness. Okay.
human siya. Where?
Nasa yun ang may hangin.
Wait for the interrogator to start the question.
So this is, you're in somebody else's experiment. So did you see the one that had two screens? So you are now on the other side of one of those screens for somebody else.
What's your name? Ruby.
see it. Oh.
Are you the witness for this one or the interrogator?
Oh, I have
This experiment is worldwide, so it's possible, but it's also possible it could be somebody in another part of the world.
Where are you from?
Did you had the first one, you were asking questions, right? You had the two? You were the interrogator?
Wala niya na,
You had two rounds?
na supporting answer. Not supporting.
Yeah. So the first part you did, 27
Ang
now you're
examination.
I thought it's
so random the classmate.
Are, sabi ko, tubog mo ano.
ano,
This
nakaiwan
guy
kasi
is AI or like a human.
human. Kaya wala siya dot, wala na siya diba?
Has to.
Tanawa.
Do you think that's an control or do you think that's an AI that's doing a bad job?
You're too fast.
You guys will go to see through your answers. So if you try one, try the other. And you got 10 seconds left to make your choice. Okay, submit. You're running out of 4 seconds.
You are here.
And then type the reason why you think they're AI. Or real people.
What is your name?
Success.
Ano daw? Ano daw? The real human.
So this is for college students who do research to try to get some accurate information.
You are an interrogator. Sige,
None of you are female. You might prefer not to say. Don't troll the
Who's with you?
researchers.
Who's with you last night?
You would want something
Who's
different.
with you last night?
It's a common informal stuff. So a lot of people don't know.
Figure out what next.
Now,
We just started this one, okay? How about you? Ah, you have a slow interrogate. They can't figure out what question to ask you.
A lot of
It must be a really good.
Yeah, I'm just giving like one round.
Oh, they can't tell.
your I asked how you're doing.
So atong pangtao,
No, no, we're just underdog officer.
ang ganina, ang witness, ang ano, human to ganina no, or AI.
Oh. Someone keeps leaving my team.
You already know the answer. In just those two questions? That's okay if you did. I'm just surprised.
Oh, because yeah. I will try. But it's fine to reply. Are you?
People keep leaving my get from that.
is that possible? No? Me and my classmate.
It is possible they could be in the class. It's also possible they could be across the world.
Oh, because we have seen like someone is deaf.
So it's possible, could be server disconnection issue, or they took too long to respond, or any number of issues.
I haven't been able to finish a full game.
Padayon lang.
Keep leaving.
Ah, so you were talking to a person.
That's me.
So were you the witness in this time?
The best thing is like, we don't like to select.
So you didn't do a good enough job that they were either able to pick out the AI, or you were too obviously doing the AI's answer. So depending if you were trying to like hide if you were the AI or not the AI, or if you were just responding as yourself. So in this case, they were able to figure out. Okay, how's everybody's games going? How much time have we got left on the clock of the current one? Has everybody made it through at least once? Okay, 2 more minutes. Wrap it up.
What color? What is color?
You're totally sure.
You're wearing.
Of two questions, you were able to get a totally sure answer?
What happened?
Which one did you choose? The one that said yes or no?
So I said,
No, B is AI. I was like, this doesn't really see.
Interesting. We're gonna share that.
Wala na. Hugda na tag-answer.
Okay, let's share with the class. What did you learn? What were the questions that you used?
I just know.
What were the people's responses? Successful on how many games? Okay. How about everybody else? Success? On all the ones or some of the ones?
no, so I was,
Okay, we're back at the class. Everybody here?
So 2 times I got a position as a witness,
Yeah.
so I failed them, and then I got a position as an interrogator, and yeah, it worked. So I asked them like, first of all I asked them,
Okay, everybody's paying attention to the class discussion. Thank you. At the back of the room too, please.
so first of all I asked them like, what's their favorite character from Friends show, it's my favorite show.
Okay.
So they answered it, then I don't know, I just asked them, are you AI? So one of them was not answering it, and one of them said, oh hell no. So I just selected him or her, whatever it was, and I got a success.
So the AI in your case said that they weren't, even though they were.
No, they didn't answer it.
Oh, they chose not to answer. Okay. Now, what if your witness had been trolling?
Yeah, I can.
Right? Because in the chats, the witness can say whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
So they could have told you, yes, I'm the AI, even though they were human.
But they didn't want to waste the time, right? So they also wanted to correct it.
Okay. Did you find asking direct questions got them to respond faster?
Yeah, that's why I asked the favorite character at the first, so that I can see what they answer like. So the AI, they answer like, for the answer like they like it, why they like it. Even I didn't ask why they like it. So the first one who was a human being, he just said a name. So I have to ask them like why they like the particular character from the show. So I just thought like they might be me.
Okay. So let's just take a quick poll in this room. Who's everybody's favorite Friends character?
Favorite character.
Friends. It's okay if you don't have one. But everybody, like, rapid fire. Answer. Don't have one? Who's your favorite Friends character? Don't have one. Who's your favorite Friends character? Don't know.
Cinnamon.
Okay. Don't know? So just based on this room, would that question have worked if you had gotten some of these people as a...
Yeah, because if they picked the like a random name, I would have known because I have seen the show a lot of times. I would have known like if they wrong name, I would directly know it's a human because the AI would know which name they have named.
But what if they've never seen that show?
I think if I ask a name from an AI, like for a character's name, they will always answer because they are smart people. And if I ask to a human, he hasn't seen it, he or she will directly tell me like, no, we haven't seen it.
Okay. So still lots of conversation. It's
Sorry.
really hard for me to hear when there's all these high conversations. What kind of questions did you ask your AI in the back?
So, who's the witness? They asked me that who is the owner of Range Rover.
Okay.
And I ChatGPT it immediately and said Tata Motors. He was like, no, that's wrong, sister.
So you went and found the answer to their question
Yeah.
to try to respond. Did that help you in getting them to not figure out that you were the AI?
I thought it would help it, but
Okay, please don't make me ask again, you guys. It's so hard to hear at the back of the classroom. When we're not talking, we're listening, okay? Please go ahead.
so I tried to Google it immediately, but it didn't help because ChatGPT gave the answer a bit late. So I think that's how he figured out that we're human or
So ChatGPT was able to answer like that, whereas you had to take some time to go look it up. Okay? Marla and Claire, what did you ask the AI? What kind of questions did you guys come across or answers?
I had an interesting conversation. We started talking about, they're like, oh, just chilling. I was like, what is your plans for the day? They're like, probably just play some games. And then I was like, are you a PC or Xbox player? They're like, I'm a keyboard, mouse kind of guy.
Okay.
But it was AI.
So based on knowledge that it knows about that type of stereotype or that type of persona,
Yeah.
it was able to come up with actually a reasonable conversation that a human might otherwise have, right?
Yeah. And I was like, so it like, instead of saying like it was a computer, it presented itself as like a human that was.
Did you notice a change in the language? So how you had started with sort of like the, hey, what's up? Or the more casual thing, and then
Yeah,
they
were speaking in acronyms too, because they're like just chillin'.
Right?
They didn't write the full chillin', and then they're like, and then yeah, they were using acronyms too to make it look like they were human.
at the back, I know you started your first one with a yo. Did that change the response of how you got versus a hi? What did they say back to yo? Do you remember? They said hi in return. Did both say hi?
The witness, we said you.
Yeah?
The other one said hi.
They both said hi back.
Yeah.
Did you notice that by you starting to say yo, did it change the formality of their answers back to you? Did they still talk in full sentences?
No, they just changed.
Okay? What kind of things did you guys ask? Or answers do you get?
I asked, what's your purpose in life?
Purpose in life. Let's take a poll on that one.
The first one, I wanted to be perfect, and the second one, I answered the
Okay? Bless you. Okay, so I want to do a class poll. If you got the question, what is your purpose in life? Knowing you are under a time limit to respond, what are you saying back?
Survive.
To survive? To live?
To be happy.
How about at the back? What would you have said to that? Hey guys.
Guys.
What would you have said if you were asked, what is your purpose, what purpose in life? Your purpose in life. Knowing you're under a time limit, how would you have responded?
Back to the purist.
While they're thinking, Shira? To succeed. At the back, what's your purpose in life?
Nothing.
Nothing? As in, ... left on red? Or you don't have a purpose in life?
Still thinking.
Okay. Would any of those answers have changed based on your evaluation of what you got? So what type of answer were you looking for?
I was looking for something simple.
Okay.
And when the AI answered that, it didn't answer to be someone or something. It just said that I wanted to be perfect.
Interesting.
The other said honesty.
Who haven't I asked yet? You guys haven't asked yet? What were your questions and answers that you got?
I asked, what do you do? So the other guy, the human said, I'm a student, and the AI response was, I'm into teaching, I'm into research,
Okay.
and into some well, I don't know how to say that. It was some AI something. It was their word used something like this. That I used that.
Okay.
So I was like, based on that. So in a way, I was like, that's AI because they actually are teaching us. They are doing research for us. So he is just defining all the things that AI does, but in human aspects.
So it could have been even a researcher, that actually, the human researcher on the other side that potentially was addressing that, right? So if you were asked, what do you do? Most people would probably divert to like career, but not necessarily. So what would you guys have said to what do you do?
I was student.
You're a student? What do you
Sorry,
do?
that's, got the question.
What do you do is the question. How would you respond?
Like a word? Anything?
Would you respond with the question?
Yeah, with the question like, but in what case do you mean? Like I'm a student and I work too.
Okay. Would you just ask the question, or would you ask the question
Just-
and provide context?
No, I'll just ask the question like in what content you're asking.
Okay? So if you had got a question back, how would that have changed your interpretation of the answer? Would that seem more human or more AI?
I would say half the sentences are wrong, I guess, because in a way I would say more thinking and more unsurety could be a human thing.
Okay?
In comparison to AI would be like a little more clear. And with the way the language AI was using, I guess they would be very pretty direct or a little rash as well.
Okay. Okay. What do we think of the game? Was it interesting?
Yes.
All right. I did find the postal one I was talking about.
Always love to go behind the scenes at Canada Post on taking us there.
Yeah, and it's awesome here. It is just a massive facility here. We're brand new Canada Post processing plant. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. It's always nice when we get behind the scenes look. How big is this actual facility?
The facility itself is around 700,000 square feet.
And it just opened.
It just opened. We just opened in February of this year, so
So you're breaking it in.
breaking it in.
Right in
Yes.
time for the Christmas season. How many
Exactly.
employees do you have working here?
In total, there's about 1,500 employees that work in the processing plant, as well as our administrative office that supports the rest of the operations in the BC area.
Let's talk about the order of things. What are we seeing right now?
What you're seeing right now is what we call our scan tunnel. So what the scan tunnel does is each of these small packages that come through have a barcode on it. So what the scan tunnel is doing is it's searching for the barcode. So the scan tunnel is actually a 6-sided reader. So it can read all 6 sides of the package coming through. It would search for the barcode, and the barcode would contain the mailing information on it, so that the sorter will know where that package is going to go, so it knows where to sort it to.
And of course, they have to go basically single through, so any that kind of go off end up going back through the sorting. What are we seeing right now?
Right now, what you're seeing is we have a double-layered sorter. So each item on the cross-belt sorter, once it gets to the proper bin for where it needs to get sorted to, will get discharged into that bin. That you'll see the gray bins that we sort into.
Excellent. Now, we noticed that a few packages, they kind of end up off the conveyor belt. What happens with those packages?
Those packages, during the breaks, our technical services department will go in and clean up all the packages that happen to fall on the ground.
So
and get them
nothing
back
gets
in.
missed. Nothing gets missed.
No.
And then finally, we're seeing some pretty big containers over here.
Those are our air containers. So we have 2 primary air modes of transportation that we sort product into these air cans, and then these air cans will be taken to ramp side and get loaded onto aircraft, and the aircraft will fly across the country to make sure all of our air packages are brought to their destination in time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the bit of a tour for Jody. We got lots more coming up from Richmond throughout the morning, including your final deadline date if you want to get those packed.
So think about what this used to be even 20 years ago. Think about back to the 1960s. Do you think they had this type of technology?
No.
They probably had people on the conveyor belt doing that same job in a manual way, right? And so now not only have we automated and we've optimized to make it more efficient, we're now also using that scanning technology and our machine reading and machine learning in order to help sort and triage the packages. Okay, let's talk about some more examples of AI. Has anyone heard of AI relationships? Okay, tell me what you've heard about them.
They're like some, like it's like dating. They're like becoming an artificial friend. Yes, and they have many videos even on YouTube. And when you search, they're like, I don't know if they're legit or not. Like you can talk to a near person, talk to a friend, and all those are AI backed.
Okay. Has anybody else heard of AI? Partners, boyfriends, girlfriends?
Yeah, ChatGPT is bringing in model.
Yeah, why? Do you know?
They
You're on the same path with where I'm going with this, so.
they are going to bring, because what I've heard is the CEO Sam, he wants to gather some revenue from this, and he's not going to get it by just getting subscriptions from it. So he's trying to make it mainstream. You can gather more revenue,
Okay.
and so he's thinking about getting AI partner.
So they're innovating based on what they started with their mission, and that's actually somewhat in contrary to what OpenAI and the principles that they're supposed to be following is all about to monetize. But they're able to use that intelligence that they've learned and basically find a whole new niche that is there. One of the challenges with ChatGPT 3, it has memory full. So like you guys were prompting and talking back and forth today, or like you work with Gemini or Copilot or any of the other AIs, there is a limit to the amount of back and forth transaction that you can have. And so the reason why we have AI boyfriends, AI girlfriends, AI companions, is because they're able to offer something, and over those many messages, you're able to actually train the AI to respond to you and your preferences in the language you would use to give you the support in the way that you want to receive support. So in some ways, by training the model, we actually make it more responsive to our needs. But because there is that storage limit, so again, coming back to our capacity of our technologies, we have a finite amount of messages, and then it stops. So how would you feel if you have now invested, I'm gonna throw out a number, and I don't know if this is the exact number, but 15,000 messages, or you have been training this AI model for 2 years on your interests, your preferences, how to support you, how to respond in the way that makes you feel loved and supported and valued. And now you can no longer talk to that person. What might that make you feel?
I feel missing like half of my, because I already like
So you would grieve them, right? Because
Yeah.
you have gotten to a point where you have basically a person, but it doesn't have that same level of sentience. So unlike a loved one who you might lose under not exactly the same circumstance, but your conversation with them might be cut short, you could hypothetically start over with AI. Now that said, the new AI that you start over at conversation number 1 is not going to be able to respond with you or in the same way as conversation 15,000. right? So some challenges for there, but potentially a new market niche for what's there. How many people have heard of people using AI for counseling?
Counseling?
Yeah.
I guess people might be using
Stress, anxiety, to diagnose yourself, doctors. So it's kind of an expansion of the idea of like WebMD. You know, the Dr. Google diagnosed me with this condition. Dr. ChatGPT diagnosed me with this condition. But there's some real concerns when it comes to ethics and people getting good information. Just even in this class, consider how many times AI, think back to when we were looking at the pictures, think back to this example here where we were talking to people. How many times can AI still trick us or give us the wrong information? So in a case where we're talking about health outcomes, where somebody might actually really need a person-to-person intervention by seeking out those types of things, although it might make it more accessible. If you're suffering with depression and can't get out of bed, I can hop on and talk to somebody. In some ways, there's good pieces. In others, we really do need to be careful about that and that they're talking to actual practitioners. So many services nowadays are actually offering those virtual health visits in a way to circumvent you going to Google or you going to ChatGPT to get potentially wrong information. Early on, I think it was ChatGPT 1.0, they actually had some articles that surfaced where after a certain period of time, it would take on a certain tone or a certain language, and it would actually be adversarial. So we talked about the one side where your ChatGPT loves you, it gives you all the positive affirmations. What happens when ChatGPT becomes a bully? And now you're interacting with something that tells you to go kill yourself. And maybe you're already struggling with mental health, right? Because then the machine doesn't know any better. The machine is just spouting off what is the most common language or the most response it thinks you want based on the sites you visit, based on the ways you've interacted with it. Okay, on a lighter side note, there are other uses as well. So when we talked back here about the different types of AI and moving towards that idea of self-aware. So all of those examples that I gave you, even though they're simulating human relationships, they're not actually self-aware. What do you think about the MIT dog? Does everybody know? I think it's MIT. Yeah, this guy. Boston Dynamics.
We're always trying to make Spot smarter. So we're trying to constantly improve its ability to interact with and understand the world around it. I work on the Spot autonomy team, and since I joined, I've been working a lot with integrating deep learning into our perception stack for Spot.
Spot has 5 stereo cameras. It largely sees the world through those. We mostly use the depth data from those cameras to generate a 3D map of the surroundings. From that data, we can run some heuristic classifiers to determine things like where the ground is or where there are obstacles or the robot can't go.
Currently, the way Spot really understands the world is it's looking and figuring out what space around it is occupied. So it's saying, okay, there's a wall here, so that space is filled in, there's floor there, that's empty space. And based off of the space that's occupied, it's deciding, is this something I can step on? Can I put my foot here? Can I step over it? So maybe it's like a little high, like you don't want to put your foot on it, but you can go over, or is it like, a wall? I can't go through it at all. The number one nemesis of Spot are wires and similar thin objects. This is because they're hard to see and distinguish. The geometry itself might get lost altogether. It's hard to infer that, probably okay to step on it. When in reality, if you get your leg caught under a wire, you're gonna trip, you're gonna start dragging things around. There are also things that are more to do with really the semantics of the object. You can imagine a cart in Spot's path. That looks exactly like a platform. Without knowing that it's a cart, without knowing there are wheels on it, it looks like just a raised surface that you could step on, step off. And it's only knowing that it's a cart that you know, oh, if I put my foot on it, the cart might shoot out, I could trip, bad things could happen. Anyone who's been paying attention to the news, you're hearing about AI, deep learning, neural networks. So about a year ago, a lot of us at the company started playing around with this flurry of visual foundation models that have been coming out. To really get that general level understanding of the world, you need tons of data. You're talking about internet scale data, billions of examples, something that you can't train yourself per se. And so you don't want to have to gather all that data from every application. And so what a foundation model is, it's already been trained on all that data. Maybe not for a specific task. A lot of times all they're learning is to draw associations, you know, like this text relates to that text, this image relates to that text, this image relates to that image. But it sees all of that data, and then you can use that to train a model on top of it or fine-tune it for a downstream task that you actually care about with far less data. So you can take all of that foundation, all that understanding of the world, and then adapt it to the thing you actually want to solve without having to go through the whole process of trying to re-understand the world.
Hazard avoidance is important because it's the first step into adding some sort of semantic understanding to the world in addition to our geometric understanding. A lot of times we can filter out data that we think is too sparse, but if we can identify that that data is a part of some hazard or something that is important to recognize is there, then we can utilize it for navigation.
So in the past, you kind of had to limit Spot to a path. You had to sort of say, only go in these known locations that are safe, because if it veers off those, it might encounter the hazards we've described. Someone might have left my box of tools and a bunch of wires on the ground. Hey, I'm moving some boxes so my cart's across the hallway. Whereas before, it might step on the cart, get itself tangled. It'll avoid them. When it's going down the hall, if we tell it, this is a thing you should not step on, not step over, it'll know that, and it'll be able to more reliably and, from a human perspective, more comfortably get to where it's going. So we're starting from models that we just, got off the shelf. These things that have been trained on internet scale data that already have a great understanding of the world. What we really want to be doing is using this to jumpstart Spot's own ability to train and understand the world better. But because we're running these and we're constantly processing the data, and we can look and see what it was doing and use that to train our own foundation models that are targeted towards what Spot is trying to do. The customers, they're going to see it just get better and better. They're going to see it able to understand more of the things they want it to understand. They're going to see it have a more human level understanding of the world. And honestly, the sky's the limit.
So has anybody seen the Boston Dynamics dogs across the internet anywhere? The little yellow guy? So he's continuing to evolve based on the research, right? And he's able to use those larger models, and they're continuing to evolve. And you can even see right in the video how he was stumbling over things and getting knocked over to now he's able to more intelligently make decisions. But it's still based on that rapid decision of data around him. What do we know about the textures? What do I know about this particular obstacle? So it's still running that real version as opposed to thinking critically, right? So it's simulating thinking without yet being aware. Another fun example is the Disney Imagineers. Has anybody heard of Disney Imagineers? So I'm not going to play this whole video because it's very long, but it is very
There once was an idea to assemble a group.
I'm going to skip to a couple of chapters in particular. Okay, let's look up this one first here.
I was still struggling, so she offered to introduce me to someone who has mastered the trial and error process of creation. But I didn't realize she meant living legend, Lanny Smoot. Hi, Lanny!
Hi, Michelle. Nice to meet you.
Oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. I'm such a big fan.
I'm a big fan also.
Seriously?
You do all kinds of stuff. I can't believe it. Lanny Smoot is one of the most prolific inventors of our time. With over 100 patents to his name, he has helped develop everything from flying ghosts to living lightsabers. Lanny is also one of only 2 Imagineers ever inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much for this amazing honor.
The other was Walt Disney himself.
This is the hollow tile floor. This is the only multi-user omnidirectional treadmill floor in the world. So I think we're going to allow you to do something sort of special.
Michelle's going to get a chance to try her hand, or should I say feet, at walking on the hollow tile, as well as some interactive fun.
They are also going to allow me to try the holotile's max speed setting, something not many others get to try. But I have to work my way up in speed to prove to Lanny that I won't lose my balance.
How many people have actually set foot on the holotile and tried to walk on it?
Yeah, I don't know if we have a record of that.
Not many.
It's not a lot.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be a guest on the
Yes.
Six Finger Games.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so 1 second. Okay, so just start walking around.
Nothing's happening yet.
It's happening, and you'll slowly feel it start to move under your feet.
Whoa, it's waking up. Ooh, oh, now we go. This is such a strange feeling because on a treadmill, I almost wait for the belt to move
Right,
me
the
before I
belt
feel
is
comfortable
moving you.
taking a
Yes,
step.
this floor is undoing each of your steps.
With every step I take, the holotile uses LiDAR sensors to motion track me in real time. The floor then makes its own decisions to adjust the direction, speed, and orientation of tiles to keep me in the center, no matter which direction I walk.
So what's going to happen now is it'll be about 50% more responsive than what you just experienced. So I'd start slowly and a little carefully.
Twice as fast.
Twice as fast. And in this case, again, the floor is trying to keep you in the middle. So when you circle, you can tip over into the middle.
Oh.
Do that.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and aim.
Whoa. Okay. Oh, this is so strange. It's amazing how quickly it responds to
Yes.
change speeds or directions.
Acceleration is incredible. It will easily match a human being's movement. So, yeah, let's go full speed.
Okay, great.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
If the Imagineers are the Avengers, then Lanny is Tony Stark. Because getting to walk on the holotile has felt like trying the Iron Man suit. And so now that I've proved to Lanny I can handle myself at top speed, I wanted to see if Lanny would let me try one last thing with his invention.
What is it that you want to do?
Well, we've seen people walk on the holotile. We've seen people sit on the holotile.
Yeah.
But I had a few other ideas of ways we might be able to push your invention.
Like, what ideas?
Has anyone ever slept on the holotile?
I can guarantee 100% no one has ever slept on the holotile floor or tried to sleep on the holotile floor.
We're giving you new data points.
No, you're giving me a heart attack.
And in an effort to get me off his precious holotile, Lanny tempted me with another magical invention.
I heard you mention Rise of the Resistance.
Yes, sir.
So now that you've been on it, if you go out of there and go down, you know you can build a lightsaber, right?
Yes.
But you can't build this one.
Okay, so I'm going to skip over the lightsaber part and do one little spot about the robots and the animatronics.
Because I still have yet to create something that will actually make it into the park. And so I'm really hoping I find some luck at my next stop in the animatronics lab.
Hi, I'm Michelle. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
At Imagineering, audio animatronics are our version of our storytelling robots. They bring our characters to life in entirely new ways.
Nice to meet you. Oh my god, I literally did not even see that when I walked in. What is this?
So this is a audio animatronics head, similar to something you might see in one of the parks.
I know NDAs and secrets are a big thing around here. Is this from a particular character?
So this is
Oh my gosh!
today we're going to be animating this.
Whoa! So you program, you animate. What is the difference between the two?
I'm a little bit more at the beginning of the process. I'll work with a lot of different teams to build a digital puppet for Avi to animate on top of.
Animation is creating emotion and acting through the texture
texture of motion. So the way we would define a success, A, right, motion on the figure is great. Then do we believe it, right? Do we have that believability? Do we have that texture of motion that makes it feel alive as opposed to robotic?
So I'm going to program an emotion.
Yes.
And you will tell me if you would allow it into the park.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip over that part and jump to the little part about droids. But you can see how the features are getting more and more humanistic and how expressive they can be so they look or give the impression of a real person. So imagine combining that with what we just talked about the AI girlfriends, boyfriends. We're getting there, right? Okay, this last little spot about droids and their responsiveness.
If I want to get something I make into one of the parks, this next stop is my one last chance.
Hi, this is so cute. Welcome. So these are our BDX droids. Oh my god! And they're excited to see you and hang out.
Do you mind if I introduce you?
Yes.
So this is Oscar.
Hi, Oscar.
We have Beck here, and this is Ray. They're excited to meet you.
They're so cute. So the BDX droids have spent a little bit of time at Disneyland and on a cruise ship. And actually, we need more. So what we would really love is if you would help us build another BDX droid. Yes. Should we jump in and do this? Yes. Are you ready to build? Yeah, I am. So come with us. Andrea's going to lead you through this. Oh, awesome.
Michelle's not only going to meet our BDX droids, but get a chance to assemble, deemed finished paint, and then operate them in a very high-stakes environment.
So Andrea, what are we going to do first?
Well, we're going to... Okay, so I'm going to skip to the operation.
People having to. He's actually going to be performing in a droid show here in Discoveryland. We're going to watch. I'm so excited. But before he goes on stage, I'm going to get to see him. Hi! Hello, Greg! It's me! Oh my gosh! You look so great! Your leg is working! Yes! Yes! This is the front plate that I painted back in Imagineering. Give me a spin around. I want to see the whole piece. Ah, looking good. It is so cool to see all of these elements coming together. All the detailed painting, the engineering, and the robotics components. We're going to see them perform in front of a crowd now. I'm so excited. It's my baby. Seeing the guests react and connect to something I helped build was definitely a full circle moment. It's crazy to think that Imagineering was the first job I wanted as a kid, and it's what inspired me to pursue a creative career in the first place. And I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with some of my childhood.
Okay, so I'll link the video if you are interested in watching the rest of it. It is a really good video, but it's just too long to watch in class. So the last thing I want to do is link this back to some business topics for you. So I tried to kind of drop in little different things of how it would connect to your life or how it would potentially be used in business, how we might innovate to create new ideas. But it's used practically today. So has anybody heard of the John Doe and Jennifer Doe experiment when it comes to resumes? So in STEM careers, so science, technology, engineering, and math, 2 identical resumes were put in front of hiring panels, and there was research done on this. The only difference between the 2 was one was labeled John Doe and one was labeled Jennifer Doe. And I can imagine, you probably know where I'm going with this, that of those panels, there was quite a big difference when humans were evaluating those 2 candidates. And when Jennifer got the the job versus when John got the job. Same exact credentials. So in an HR context, we can use AI and ATS, or applicant tracking systems, to help remove some of those biases. Other examples of this, so this is a gender bias, but there's also examples with people who have international names versus a more Americanized or name. I don't know how to quite say that, European? I suppose it would depend on where you're from, because the reverse bias probably happens in some other countries of the world as well. But now that we're working in a more globalized environment, the difference, I don't want to call anybody out, canceled. But you guys understand what I'm trying to say with this, right? So that's a reason why a lot of international students will adopt an English name, right? And you have two names, is to help get past those type of biases. So this particular part of research was really interesting, and why this matters in getting the best equity and the best candidates into our roles. So as much as we might really struggle sometimes with applicant tracking systems and getting through the volume of applications, they are a way that we can help check our biases, whether they're conscious or unconscious as they might come around. That's in the HR type of context. I think we've talked about some marketing ones already. Finance, we can use them in auditing and compliance. So we can run simulations, or we can run the algorithm to try to identify hotspots for us to look through. The CRA uses something similar for helping determine which percentage of people get audited on their taxes every year. It's not the only way that they do that, but they do use those types of technologies to help look for those type of mistakes. If you're interested in AI as a topic, I'm also going to link this college level crash course playlist. This is somewhat dated, but it is educational content that's produced by PBS. So the concepts here of basic understanding of AI won't have changed. It's just maybe more advanced than what some of the videos in this playlist are today. And I want to connect in the industry and how it is evolving. This is our last video of the day, I promise. And then whatever is remaining you can have for questions, and we'll go forward from there.
Of reality. Now, they're never perfect. There's always data that's being left out, but I'm going to talk today about one that contains a lot of information and took a little bit of time for me to parse. So once I did, it kind of terrified me. I'm going to show it to you as well. What a good little visualization we have on our hands here. How NVIDIA and OpenAI fuel the AI money machine. So very quickly, to explain, NVIDIA makes the chips that do the compute that creates the artificial intelligence systems. OpenAI is the biggest company that...
Has anybody heard of the companies that are on this visualization? So Oracle, right? That's your, like an accounting, or similar to SAP. They're both in accounting and HR. OpenAI is responsible for ChatGPT. Intel, you probably have worked on laptops that have Intel inside, right? Microsoft. And then there's maybe some smaller players in here you might not have heard from.
Creates the systems that use those chips to create artificial intelligence systems that do stuff, not just the chatbot, but also all of the other things that it does, including, Sora 2, which you've heard my opinion on. And then there's Microsoft, you've heard of them. AMD is another chip maker like NVIDIA, Oracle, and a few others in here like CoreWeave, possibly some others. I actually don't know what all these companies are. I think Nscale might be one as well, but it's the little dot. Oracle and CoreWeave, at least, are the companies that have built like the data centers, and they buy chips from NVIDIA and then they lease out the compute. They sell that. So basically, Intel and AMD and NVIDIA sell chips to the AI companies or to the data center companies, and then the data center companies sell the compute to the AI companies. Sometimes the middleman running the data center is there, sometimes it's not there. But in either case, NVIDIA is doing very well because so many people want their chips right now. But we can think of it as like AI companies, chip companies, and then the middlemen compute companies. What the AI companies want is to be able to keep existing. Right now, OpenAI, worth $500 billion, has $12 billion of revenue. That's not profit. That's the amount of money they made total. Their profit is deeply in the negative. And NVIDIA has extremely high profit. They make way more money than they spend because people really want their chips right now until they'll pay way extra for them, and they're the best chips. They're the best chips! Crunch, 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 crunch. There's a huge amount of demand for those chips. The prices are way up. It's very good for NVIDIA. That's why they are the largest company in the world and are one company that is worth more than the entire pharmaceutical industry combined. But even that, even with their absolutely bonkers margin that they have right now, their price to earnings ratio is extremely high. So the value of all NVIDIA stock combined is much higher than you would see with a normal company, which indicates the belief among investors that the prices of those chips will keep going up and the number of chips produced will keep going up. So NVIDIA desperately wants to keep the prices of their chips the same or higher. They want the demand to increase faster than supply, but they also want to increase supply dramatically so that they can sell more things. So like more sales and more profit equals more earnings. People who are sort of on the AI isn't a bubble train right now, what they're saying is, well, if it's a bubble, why are the prices of NVIDIA chips continuing to increase? There's a huge amount of demand there. People are buying them. That can't be entirely irrational. So keep that in mind. The demand for NVIDIA chips far outstrips the supply of NVIDIA chips. And the idea is that will continue to be the case even as supply increases. But first, quickly, the sponsor of this video, Ground News. I don't know about you, but one thing I notice is that when I
Skip over the sponsored ad. Although Ground News is a particularly good service, I would highly recommend you look into it.
the largest AI company. And with this $12 billion of revenue, they are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on these chips. And OpenAI, I don't want to say that like they couldn't do more than they're doing right now, but they're not like brand new. They've been selling their services for a while. Now, could they increase the price of their services? Yes. Do they seem to think that that would be the thing that does it for them? No. Like, they're creating feeds inside of their systems. Now they've got a feed inside of ChatGPT where, like, when you open it, it's like, hey, just, like, read some stuff. Just read some stuff that I prepared for you. Instead of asking me questions, here's stuff that we think, based on what you've talked to me about before, you might be interested in. And the play there is obvious to me, which is they've said that they don't want to put ads inside of the experience of you just asking it questions. But they haven't said that they won't put ads inside of the stuff that it just provides to you. And if it's just providing stuff for me, maybe sometimes it will provide stuff for me that paid to be there. Also, maybe like Sora's slop talk thing is also a thing where they could put ads, though I can't imagine that anyone thinks that there will actually be a lot of people who spend time on slop talk. But maybe, you never know, irrational exuberance and all that. And thus, you have the other side of the argument. The people who say that this is probably a bubble, they're saying, okay, well, there's demand for OpenAI's services. People use them, they're using them more and more as time goes on. But you can't say that at the moment the demand is outstripping the supply. There's plenty of supply to meet the demand. And right now, OpenAI, according, I think, to them, they lose money every single time you use one of their products. Like, the amount that it costs to train and use the models is more than the amount that they are charging, even for their top $200 a month tier. In that case, it's possible that they could charge 10 times more to their enterprise clients and to their consumer clients, and all those people would keep paying, and they would be a profitable company. But would that actually work? Like, would the $200 a month people pay $2,000 a month? But even more than that, is it true that the demand for NVIDIA's chips is increasing? Or is NVIDIA creating that demand? And likewise, is it true that the demand for OpenAI's services is increasing, or are they increasing that demand? So let's start with OpenAI. There's obviously a lot of arrows coming in and out of this. We're going to start with the ones that have green arrows. There's a healthcare company, Harvey II, and AnySphere. These are companies that pay money to OpenAI, but that OpenAI's venture arm has also invested in. So they're investing in these companies, and then the companies buy services from OpenAI. That's a bit of a loop. Now, they're not investing like the exact same amount of money. Probably they're investing less than the companies are paying, but that is an example of like a circular system here. We also see these green arrows, which is venture capital, pointing out from NVIDIA to Maestro to Figure AI and to XAI. And all of those people take that venture capital investment and then they buy NVIDIA chips. So if you're in the anti-bubble case, then you do have to ask, well, why does NVIDIA have to invest in these companies in order for them to buy their chips? It's not like a quid pro quo here, but like, why can't the companies just get investment from elsewhere, outside of NVIDIA, to do those investments? It's a little weird, and I think that it makes sense that people are worried about it. Now, none of these arrows have dollar values on them, which is a little bit frustrating for me, except for the most important one, the one that sort of created this whole conversation about round tripping, which is this one. NVIDIA has agreed to invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI. AI. And that investment comes along with the purchase of chips. So to unlock more and more of that investment, they have to buy more and more of the chips. That's basically paying OpenAI to buy NVIDIA chips. Now, it's not like the exact price of the chips. It's less than the price of the chips. So basically about a quarter of the money that the chips cost is getting discounted off the price of the chips. And in exchange, and I am simplifying here, but in exchange for that 25% discount, NVIDIA is getting ownership shares in OpenAI. At the same time as that is happening, with this money going to OpenAI, OpenAI signs a $300 billion deal with the middleman, Oracle, who's going to build the data centers and run the data centers. $300 billion on revenue of $12 billion for a company that is not brand new, has been around, and that everybody knows about, and that lots of people use, and that lots of people have found a hard time figuring out how it integrates well into businesses in a way that is worth spending a lot of money. $12 billion, they have these huge contracts with lots of companies, but still $12 billion is the amount of revenue they have. They're spending $300 billion on a service contract. That's this darker blue line. A service contract with Oracle. So NVIDIA invests in OpenAI. OpenAI signs a service contract with Oracle. Oracle, in order to build this data center, has to spend tens of billions of dollars on chips. All these pink arrows going into NVIDIA, these are all these companies buying chips directly from NVIDIA. So they're all paying money into NVIDIA, which is why they're the ones who are winning the most in this. And also there's this one arrow pointing out of NVIDIA to CoreWeave, which is a service agreement, saying NVIDIA will lease its own chips that are being sold to CoreWeave. So CoreWeave is buying chips from NVIDIA, and then NVIDIA has said, we promise that we're going to pay you to use those chips once they're in your data center. And not only that, they have promised that if CoreWeave, this data center company, if they don't get enough contracts to use all of the chips, NVIDIA will just take all of that excess processing power and pay for it. So they're guaranteeing the value of the chips to CoreWeave. Why would they be doing this if the demand for the chips is so high and the profit margin on the chips is so high? So the anti-bubble argument that I have heard from analysts who are much smarter than me and know more about this is that the price keeps going up for these NVIDIA chips, and so they're like the demand is there. But the chip isn't the product. The AI service to consumers is the product. And right now, that is an order of magnitude under the amount of money that is being spent just on hardware, not even including staff time and the power and the water and the buildings and all of that stuff. The amount of money being made by AI companies is an order of magnitude lower than just the money that is going to NVIDIA every year. And by doing deals that basically give companies money to buy NVIDIA's chips, they are selling their chips at an effective discount. And yet, at every one of these steps of the process, as this money flows around, these companies get more highly valued. When Oracle signed this $300 billion a year deal with OpenAI, their stock price shot up. When NVIDIA does venture investment in XAI, which then turns around and buys NVIDIA's chips, that is offering the chips at a discount. So once you parse, it's fairly information dense, though there could be more information on it, and that would be good. But once you get your mind around this little graphic here, it doesn't seem like NVIDIA just thinks people are going to buy their chips at the prices they're selling them. NVIDIA seems to think, it'd be better for our share price if we found ways to artificially increase the demand for our chips, like by paying the people who buy our chips to buy our chips, or investing in companies that buy our chips so they can buy our chips. And NVIDIA has so much money that, like, what else are they going to do? The price is so inflated. Their stock is worth so much, and they have so much money, that they can subsidize the purchase of their own chips. And when they do that, the stock market rewards them. This money is just flowing around. And at the root of it is not the demand for NVIDIA chips, because NVIDIA chips are not the product being sold. The product being sold is artificial intelligence systems. Look, it might someday be this big, but it is not anywhere close to that big right now, and it's not brand new. In order for it to be this big, it has to create so much value, and we have to create new systems for capturing that value, besides just firing everyone and having computers do all the work. Microsoft is the only major player on this graph that is buying NVIDIA chips that doesn't have a direct relationship. They do have this one little connection through Nebius, and I don't know what that is, where Microsoft is paying Nebius for a service while Nebius is getting investment from NVIDIA. My God, I don't know how big that is. You want to Google it with me? Oops, I don't want to show you all of my text messages. That was just my dad. It's probably okay. Don't read my text messages. Microsoft secures 100,000 NVIDIA GB300 chips via $33 billion deal. Okay, so it is big. That's actually huge. Oh my God. So Nebius is like an Oracle, but for just AI. I have gotten this take your guest house to the next level ad so many times. I probably accidentally clicked on it once and they're like, yeah, I bet you're interested in nano walls. I thought it was going to be nano walls, but it actually says nano wall. It's where you keep your nana. She's in the walls. So yeah, it's getting 100,000 NVIDIA chips from a company that NVIDIA has invested in. Even Microsoft is getting discounted chips. I don't know, you guys. Seems fine. I have seen the simplified version of this pitched around, which is like NVIDIA gives $100 billion to OpenAI, OpenAI gives $100 billion to Oracle, Oracle gives $100 billion to NVIDIA. It's not exactly like that. It does prop up the demand for NVIDIA chips by making it so that you're giving money to people in exchange for them, in some cases directly, in exchange for them buying NVIDIA chips. Or you're just investing in companies so that they can buy NVIDIA chips. It just seems messy. It seems like bubble mechanics to me, you guys. So I am, again, just a guy. I don't know why. I gotta get back to talking about rare earths and fish. I gotta get back in my lane. That's what you want anyway. You don't want this. I should be talking about batteries and climate change and the moons of Saturn and my favorite fish. But instead, I looked at that figure for too long. What's the connections? I'm worried because the last, 3 have been...
Okay, so we're not going to watch and play connections. But I do want to go back to this big graph here. Let's find where it's the biggest here.
Their chips right now. And running the data center is that.
So a few things I want to highlight out of this video, because I know there's a lot of talking and it was really kind of scatterbrained, but he is a real good educator out there on the internet. So, this visualization, very complex, right? The whole idea around AI, lots of different complexities. As you can see, he talked about many different aspects of IT that go into this interconnected problem of AI. We talked about some of them previously in the semester. So we talked about data warehouses and the amount of energy and resources. We talked about automation of people's jobs. We talked about the hardware that actually takes to run these things. So although we talked about the hardware more in the case of routers and smartphones and things like that, within those things are these chips that they're talking about here with NVIDIA. And that's what allows the thing to operate. So the point I want to make is how interconnected all of these topics are across this whole semester. Are you going to need to know or specialize in any of these topics in your disciplines? No. But the more you understand about them, the more you're going to be able to contextualize your business decisions, and the more you're going to be able to utilize some of these technology advances as you move through life. Another point I want to make about this video in particular, they talk about that whole idea of AI. So everybody's talking about AI. It's the new buzzword. It's so big. It's all this demand. But this video here talks about, what kind of dollars we're talking about. And it talks about how that infrastructure is needed in order to continue to make AI a thing and continue to evolve. Now it is a bit of, I don't know if it's a hockey stick or if it's a ramp, but it certainly is an exponential increase. So early on I pointed out that initial video we watched was 2 years old. And even from today to now, think about how advanced. I think we're on ChatGPT 5 now. So ChatGPT has only been around for 2 years. So just to think about how long that actually has taken to go from 1 to 5. Let's fact check myself. Years, November 2022. Still, the point still stands whether it's 2 years or 3 years. We're not talking 10 years, we're not talking 50 years to go from 1 to 5, to go from its infancy to first being able to be on it, all the way to now, where we're going. So, but I'm talking about the public release.
Yep. We have a new one.
So the chatbot. not the company itself. I could have made that more clear.
We have new version of ChatGPT now.
The exponential growth, right? And it's continued to get better and change and evolve. So there is still many, many opportunities to use this in our business, in our lives, to make ourselves easier, to optimize, but we want to make sure that we're using technology in the right way. We're considering things like ethics. We are considering how we're going to apply it, what the supply chain is all along the way, right? It's not just getting my AI to process my resumes faster, for example. Okay.
But now, like, even AI is increasing, but at the same time, people don't want AI. They're making these laws and stuff, and even Brazil using stuff that, you know, we don't want AI. We don't want for AI in it. We don't want any. And they're like, now AI checkers are as well to check that whether it's AI written or not.
Yeah.
So, what does the world want? Like, we are going towards AI, but they're saying don't use AI.
I think it's a combination of both. I think that we probably will never totally go away from it because it's an advance of technology, but the guidelines or the legislation about that governs how we use it is going to continue to evolve. Part of that is with any technology improvement, it changes over time, right? So when you're participating in a beta project, so the first person to ever invent a portable water bottle, people are probably like, I don't want the water bottle, I like the tap just fine, or whatever the example is, right? Initially with your smartphone, you probably had people that were like, I don't need a smartphone, they know too much about me, the landline is just fine. Nowadays, everybody has a smartphone, right? Well, not everybody, I suppose, but the bulk majority of people have a smartphone. It's probably a combination of both, but we have to build up that trust over time. So when we see those examples or hear about in the news about some of those negative things that have happened, or when there's been privacy breaches, or when there's been an inappropriate use of AI, people tend to have that pendulum reaction back in the other direction. Okay, so you guys have your slides here. It's a pretty short slide deck this week, but they are available for you on Brightspace. Kind of talked through a number of the topics here, but as always, I cannot possibly cover all of the things that are in this massive, massive textbook. So I encourage you to read through them before you do the last reading quiz. So chapter 14 is our last reading quiz of the semester. So once you're past this, then it's just SAP modules and the access, and then the final term exam.
How about the database quiz?
Database quiz we talked about on Monday. So it is going to be a quiz. It's going to be 10 questions. It's going to require you to download some files. So on Monday I went through some initial things with respect to access. I think we will probably have another class next week that we can spend some more time on access to get ready for it. And then there was a request, rather than cram it in with all of the other stuff, to try to put it after the reading week quizzes are done. So it will probably open up next week.
Ms. Jack, is there any extension on the project MM?
On MM, how is everybody doing on the MM model? Okay.
It's long, but it's going.
Okay.
It has loads of steps somehow. It's like one step, but they ask us to do so many things in that one step as well. But I've done 9 till now, and sometimes they show like in my step 10 it was like it should look like this.
Yeah.
But one of my fields was coming out to be empty.
Okay.
So I was like, should I still like keep proceeding even if it's like?
That's a hard question to answer because that could be fine or that could be something that's gonna break things. Let's look at that one specifically if you're able to pull it up, and hopefully I'll be able to give you an answer.
There are more steps,
no.
like compared to the essay.
Yeah.
21
And
steps.
we need more time.
Time is possible.
Yeah.
Possible.
Okay, so I have some small flexibility to change this, but we are, as somebody pointed out, getting very near to the end of the semester. So
Maybe to 1 day, even 1 day extension.
full week?
One day?
One
No,
day.
no,
Monday
or
or Monday?
One day.
One day.
One day, one more day.
Okay. That I don't see any issue with. So what if I extend it to Friday?
Friday?
That sounds good.
Friday, don't miss.
Is that 2 days? It's still weekdays, but is that going to be helpful enough for you
Yes.
to get finished?
Yes.
Okay. I did notice this afternoon on my way to class that another prof posted some more tips around the BPMN, and so I can share those with you guys as well.
Miss Jack, how about the peer review?
So peer review is always plus 1 day on whenever the actual thing is
Saturday.
due. So if the thing is due Friday, that'll be due Saturday.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Missed one completely.
I don't know, I have to check with my partner if she submitted or not, but yes, for whatever she did. If there is a miss on that, then
So I'll be talking with people based on their individual responses, so I'll deal with that on a case-by-case basis. You okay?
okay.
I've caught myself sometimes too, so.
So